These are the stories that are making headlines at the top of the hour. Peskov, Putin and Trump at a call. Von der Leyen rattles her economic sabre. Associated Press, barred from the Oval Office. Putin calls Al-Sharaa. Gaza ceasefire, trades on green ice. More news coming up. And a warm welcome. Let us look at the stories that are making headlines in full detail thus far. Gaza. In the inception of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, the freedom fighters of the Palestinian people have released 21 hostages thus far to date. For 21 hostages released in an exchange of the persons 5 times between Hamas and Israel, at least 730 Palestinian prisoners have been released. On Tuesday, 11 February 2025, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threatened to withdraw completely from the ceasefire in Gaza. Netanyahu's US counterpart Donald J. Trump had predicted earlier that Hamas would not release all the remaining hostages the previous Saturday. Furthermore, Trump said Israel should cancel this entire ceasefire deal if all of the roughly 70 hostages are not freed by Saturday 12 o'clock. The militant group took note of the US president's rhetoric and cooling them down, claiming that Israel had violated the ceasefire and warned that it would not only continue releasing hostages if all parties adhered to the ceasefire. According to media outlets from the Middle East, commonly known as West Asia, Egypt and Qatari peace negotiators have been working around the clock to keep the deal at the table. Brussels. Ursula von der Leyen rallies Europe to push back on the new Trump tariffs on steel and aluminium, while German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said that trade wars always cost both sides of the party, which is the EU and the US. The EU chief von der Leyen rattled their sabre, saying that tariffs on the EU market will affect the EU. The 27-nation bloc will act as well, meaning the famed might of Trump's industries might face a steep resistance from the EU industries, such as the spirits, clothing and vehicle sectors should be aware, according to the EU chief. Von der Leyen said in a statement, tariffs are taxes bad for businesses, worse for consumers. Furthermore, the EU chief expressed unjustified tariffs on the EU will not go unanswered. They will trigger firm and proportionate countermeasures. All right. Before we get into the second bulletin, I get my news from groundnews.com. For all of my international news, I use groundnews.com. They have got this feature that can allow you to use to look what the left is saying and what the right is saying, and that's what the center is saying. So groundnews.com. Let's get back into it. Russia. The special military operation is now 2 years, 11 months, 2 weeks, and 6 days old. The operation started in earnest on 24 February 2022, and 13 February 2025 marks day 1085. According to the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, Putin invited Trump to Moscow. Trump, in a statement, said him and his Russian counterpart, President Vladimir Putin of Russia, on the call discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and other various subjects. Furthermore, Putin and Trump agreed they want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia and Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed the historic Putin dialogue. Peskov said it was a lengthy call. It lasted for almost an hour. According to Mr. Peskov, President Trump called for a swift end to the fighting and resolving issues in a peaceful manner. President Putin of Russia, on his part, mentioned the need to eliminate the root causes of the conflict. Associated Press barred from the Oval Office on 12 February 2025. The Associated Press were blocked from entry into the Oval Office. The media house caught the attention of the Oval Office staff and were barred from entry. The reason is that the Associated Press had refused to abide by Trump's order of renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. In a statement to the press by Associated Press, the Associated Press were informed by the White House that if Associated Press did not align its policy with that of President Donald J. Trump's executive order renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. According to the Associated Press, they find it alarming that the Trump administration would punish Associated Press for its independent journalism, furthermore limiting their access to the Oval Office based on the content of Associated Press's speech not only severely impedes the public's access to independent news. That is, the statement read. According to a statement released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the Russian Federation, President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, had a telephone conversation with the President of the transitional phase of the Syrian Arab Republic, Ahmed Al-Sharaa. Vladimir Putin wished Ahmed Al-Sharaa every success in addressing various objectives facing the country's new leadership for the benefit of the Syrian nation, with which Russia has been traditionally linked by relations of friendship and mutually beneficial cooperation. The presidents conducted a detailed exchange of opinions regarding the situation in Syria. The Russian side emphasized its principled position in support of the Syrian state's unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. In this connection, the leaders noted the importance of implementing a range of measures for the sake of sustained national normalization, invigorating intra-Syrian dialogue involving leading political forces and ethnic and religious groups. Vladimir Putin reaffirmed Russia's invariable readiness to help improve the socio-economic situation in Syria, including the provision of the humanitarian aid to its residents. The presidents touched upon multiple key issues of practical collaboration in trade and economic, educational, and other spheres, including the context of recent talks in Damascus that involved a Russian interdepartmental delegation. They agreed to continue these useful contacts for elaborating a wide-range agenda of expanded bilateral cooperation. The presidents had a constructive, business-like, and detailed telephone conversation. There's a statement from the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs with regards to the phone call between President Al-Sharaa of Syria and President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. A recap of the stories that have made headlines today. Peskov says Putin and Trump had a call on the Leyen rattles her sabre. AP barred from the Oval Office. President Putin calls Al-Sharaa, and Gaza ceasefire treads on thin ice.